Hello, and welcome to the 8th episode of this series of Two Mums Talking After Road Death. I'm Mandy and I'm here with Yvonne.
Hello.
And also with Ange Tyler, who is the founder of the ELY Memorial Fund.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hi, Ange. Hi. The ELY Memorial Fund, it supports families in Herefordshire who have lost a young person in a road traffic accident or collision. And they provide education on road safety, compassionate care, and financial assistance.
Yes.
So Ange, please do tell us how the circumstances in which you came to set up the ELY Memorial Fund and why.
Wow. Thank you both for having me on this evening about the podcast. ELY was set up in memory of my beautiful daughter. ELY stands for Emma Louise Young. Emma tragically lost her life at the age of 23 on the 30th of September 2010 at 6 minutes past 10. The date and the time is
Oh, wow.
ingrained. It doesn't go
Of
away.
course. Yeah.
When she was travelling home from her boyfriend's home from Ledbury, a car just come off the road and went down into a private drive. But she was significantly, seriously hurt and was killed on impact. That was a day and night, a night that completely changed my life.
Yeah.
Everything was, I can honestly say, amazing at that point in my life. My job role was going very well. Emma had a good job role working with disabled adults and learning difficulties. She loved her workplace. That was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know how I've got here in 15 years. It just changed my life beyond anything. You can't say to anyone who goes through the horrendous crash of losing your child in a road traffic collision. There's no comparison, I don't think, in anything that stops you in your tracks and changes everything, every single aspect of your life, because you never expect this to happen. It's not something that, my Emma wasn't unwell, and it was a split second that changed our lives. And it was something from something so traumatic in my life that we ended up going down this path of being a bereaved parent in a trauma that people don't really want to share your journey with. Became very alienated, and nobody was really our friends because they couldn't cope with our loss, because Emma was my only daughter. I have no more children. You live for your children, don't you? You just want them to have everything, be good, and just give them the life skills and experience that you had from your own parents. You just want to be the best parent, don't you? And I couldn't save my baby at the end of it. The trauma of that is just beyond any words. The emotions
So this is such
are
a
horrific.
fantastic, legacy to your beautiful daughter. So at what stage did you think something's got to be done? Because I remember when we spoke before, you mentioned about, was it your niece gave you some support?
Yeah, Kira was like a daughter to me. She was 5 years younger than Emma, so they were like best cousins, best friends, grew up together. And Kira, after sort of like 8 months, I didn't even have the inquest at that point. But I was dying. She couldn't cope with not having Auntie Ange around her, and just general being an auntie, as you do with your nieces and nephews. So, and she just couldn't cope. She couldn't cope with the fact that I was dying, and everybody around me didn't know what to do with me. Apparently family was on suicide watch because I was saying so much stupidity things that you do say, don't you? You just want to go
Desperation,
And So Kira wanted to do something in memory of her cousin, and wanted to do something for me, and she wanted to do something for Emma, and she saw myself and my hubby struggle financially
Yeah.
because money stopped coming in,
Uh-huh.
bills carried on, the mortgages carry on, and on top of all that, when we lost Emma, we didn't have enough money to pay for a funeral.
Yeah.
We were trying to find £5,000 within 4 weeks of Emma
Yeah.
passing away. We had maybe 2,000. It wasn't a lot. It wasn't enough. So Kira wanted to help pay for just general wages, just money to keep us ticking for a
Yeah.
little while until I could go back to work, and things could hopefully be a bit normal, whatever normal is at
I
that
know.
point.
Yeah. It's a funny old word in
It is a
our
funny old
situation.
world. But the child, because we didn't have any sort of paper sort of trail of finances we were given to gifting to families, it was very difficult to be able to gift money to help pay for bills.
Yeah.
So we had to think about how we could do that. So Kira said, well, look, Auntie Ange, you couldn't pay for Emma's funeral, really. It wasn't for my mum. So that's how it was born. ELY Memorial Fund became a registered charity on the 12th of August in 2012.
Wow.
And we set about our mission to support bereaved families in Herefordshire to help pay for funeral costs if they tragically lose a young daughter or son in a road traffic collision, whether they were a passenger, whether they were a pedestrian or cycling. Because there's a lot of that happens around Herefordshire because we're so rural.
Yeah.
And we didn't want Emma to be a statistic, as they're known as, isn't it? Another
of course.
statistic of a young person passing away on our roads. So yeah, that's how we came about with ELY. And ELY stands for Emma Louise Young, her name.
So
The
tell us a bit more
family,
about this. So what does the charity, because I've looked on your website, so it obviously helps with the, puts them in touch with people that can help them with the finances of and what else? Because one of the things that I found was it was just the complete disbelief that I was trying to pick out I can't even think of the word now because I don't like saying the C that C word for the box and for the basket and
yeah,
I just think I was just in so much shock that I just thought I cannot believe I'm actually looking at a catalogue of all the different baskets and places where we can send Jack off, and I found that really hard. So does it incorporate things like that to help families?
yeah. So our funding, when we first started, we couldn't really gift a lot, but it was enough to help with some form of payment. So primarily when we fund a family, we're able to gift up to £4,000 now from all our fundraising efforts. And because that's all we find, donations and fundraising is how we sort of like have the funding to give to families. And the biggest thing that I notice is that funeral directors require disbursement fees up front, which can be anything up to a £1,200 to £1,800. And 9 times out of 10, that is required prior to arrangements of funerals. That was my first aim, is to make sure that the disbursement fees were paid for, so we could hopefully, through the criminal investigation, we could release the body and start arranging the funeral. And then we've increased that donation, so now we incorporate the coffin, and we also incorporate one car as a hearse for the family. It can go towards the crematorium or to the burial. But what we don't sort of look at is like the order of service or flowers. But my aim over the next 12 to 18 months is that we get to a position that we can actually fund all of the funeral up to £5,000. That's the most of the funeral
That
can be.
how are you doing that, and how do you raising the money?
fundraising.
Like events and
Um,
activities, or just
Loads.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been a full-on agenda. It's always busy. Eli's always busy fundraising. My aim is to cover at least 4 funerals a year. Last year we had
Wow.
3 funerals in 2024 of all young people.
Hmm.
And do you
Too
get any
many.
support from the actual funeral directors? Because that was one of the things that I thought was that, is there anything that they can do themselves in regards to, because I know that if you're under 18,
Yes.
if the child is under 18, you already get some kind of funding, don't you? But the
Yeah.
problem is, like my son was 19 and
Don't-
we didn't get anything, and
No.
yet it still seems so unfair. Um, and I kept thinking, surely there must be something that the funeral directors can do with regards to bringing the costs down, even if it's just something quite basic.
I
Yeah.
think they still don't consider, so they haven't changed, the law hasn't changed really in terms of young people. Since, young people used to, traditionally get married and leave the house, at sort of
Yeah.
80, whatever. And so
Yeah.
while they're still kind of dependent on you when they're like 19, 20, 20, well, nowadays they can be dependent on you for quite some time, but
Oh,
the law
very.
doesn't recognize that at all.
No. No. At
No.
18, they see them as an independent adult.
Mm.
That's when they should be considering life insurance. That's when they should be, are they able, do they want to get married? Think about life insurance. There's that life skill of like being 17 and 18. Once you come 18, everything falls to yourself, to them as an individual or to the
Mm.
family. But majority of our funeral directors in Herefordshire will look after a young person if they are under 18. So
Yeah.
that most of it is covered. But once they attain 18, it's a different matter. They are an adult in the eyes of the law.
Mm.
Um, so it's very difficult to get any type of funding to help you with any bereavement costs. There is a fund for bereavement for families, but normally out in another state, you are expected to pay back the funeral cost. But what a young person has got an estate of
Yeah.
leaving money behind to a family,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
I struggled with.
Yeah.
There was no financial support for families to help pay for this funeral cost.
Hmm.
I remember talking to the Department of Social Security at the time. I said, "Have you got a credit card?" I went, "No, I've got no credit card. Can you borrow the money?" Well, what if I can't get a loan? Because you
Mm.
have to have a good credit rating. Well, kind of family can you fundraise? And I'm thinking, you're talking to a you're talking to a mum
Yeah.
Mm.
that's lost her daughter. She's
Yeah.
never coming back. And you can't even help me for £1,000,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm looking at a bill, an invoice of nearly £5,000.
Mm.
I couldn't believe it. So, having to not only deal with the trauma of losing Emma, I was worried, worried to death. How was I going to pay for her funeral?
Yeah.
Um, this is what I'd want no family to be
No.
financially stressed over
Mm.
paying for a funeral.
Yeah.
The general order of passing over into another world is when you're older, and the life expectancy. You most probably will have a life insurance. You most probably do a funeral plan, but a young person won't do that.
No,
No.
especially when they're living at home. And
Of
how long
course,
had Emma been working?
she'd been working since 18,
Yeah.
from after going to college for doing social care. Um, she was talking about doing a life insurance. It's really odd because she brought it up,
Mm.
but never did it.
No.
Yeah.
Never did it. I think my words were, "Well, I don't think you really need to worry about that yet. Look, perhaps when you get
Yeah.
married and have got your
Yeah.
own home."
Yes, if you have a house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's
Yeah.
the added stress is the fact that, not only have you got to try and, get your head around the fact that you've now got to pay for a funeral, but then you've got that emotional tie to make sure that you give them a really good set. You want to do it right. You don't want to get it wrong, because one thing that I kept panicking about is that I didn't want to regret anything. I didn't want to look back and think, oh my gosh, I wish I'd done that. Or, I felt like I let Jack down because we hadn't, we didn't have it in a really lovely venue, or we didn't have a really lovely, a nice basket for him, or, the flowers. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
to have a funding like yourself, like charity like yourself, takes away that burden, because that's what we've said all the way along in most of our episodes, is that you need to be handheld by people that actually have got compassion and empathy, and can almost put put your shoes on, even if it's just for a moment, and think, do you know what, I'm just going to take this away from that family. And it seems like that's what your funding, your charity is doing,
But
which is like amazing.
I mean, I've set up a charity in my daughter's name as well. That's not related to anything like this, but I found it's quite a difficult process to do it. Just getting the charities commission to agree, it takes a while, and then the bank account, and then all the other things, and then there's sort of difficulties that you might encounter along the way with different people and that kind of thing. How have you coped with that? Because that's so difficult to manage at the same time as your grief. Because I found that if I encounter a challenge or anything, and I feel like I almost want to give up, but then I can't give up because I'll be letting Anisha down. And there's so many different things, and I almost feel like I just want to, just never get up. You go back to that day one thing. So it's difficult to.
I think having my Kira, my niece, along that way, I don't think I'd have done. I really do not believe I would have done this. Set up a charity, and not only set up a charity through Charity Commission, because we're not for profit, we have to do company law as well. So we're a CIO, a charity incorporated organisation. So not only have we got Charity Commission, making sure that we do everything in a charitable way and everything is, cross the T's, dot the I's. We're also under the Company Law Act. So when we're having to do double accounting, we're having to do making sure our directors are making sure they're doing the correct, things that, trustworthy for running a charity. So I didn't understand any of that. It was Kira that helped me with that process. And then 18 months later, she said, Auntie Ange, I'm going to train as a nurse. I want to go and I want to go and save people, because I couldn't save Emma. And she said, you need to take over now, Auntie Ange. I went, what do you mean you got to take over? So she said, you can do this now for Emma. And
She sounds amazing.
She does sound
she
amazing.
did.
Yeah, what a support.
Kira was. But it's only recently I've acknowledged what Kira did.
Yeah.
Because it's out of the journey, you find your path. But it's a very long time finding that path. There are no words I can describe to any parent this pain is going to get any easier, because it doesn't. I think we learn to adapt our way of coping with the stress and coping with the trauma, and that gut-wrenching feeling that you might get some days that you want to go back, you're at the beginning again.
Yes.
You never think you're ever going to come out of it, because we come out of it in a way, but we're different with it. But we carry the trauma of that impact with us.
Yeah.
And that's why I say we give the money through our Hugs pack, which is how the parents get our money. Because there's no word I can say to a parent, this is going to be okay, you're going to get better. And my Emma used to love giving hugs, and I really miss her hugs.
Yeah.
And hugs, how I say to families, I've got my hugs, and they go with you until I can hold your hand. Maybe many months, maybe years, my hugs will always be around you until we can meet, and hopefully I can give them a little bit of more comfort, but they can contact me anytime, the bereaved families I've been supporting. And
How do they contact you? How do they get into? How do they find out? Is it through an organisation that they get to know your
no,
charity?
it's the Hereford Police, which is our family liaison officers who visit the family
Yeah.
after the road traffic collision, and it's a fatal message. So we didn't know how we could get this money to families, because if I look back at myself that time, if anybody had knocked on my door saying, look, here's some funding to help you pay for the funeral of your beloved son or daughter, I just don't think I would have even known about it. I would have even had any understanding what you
No.
were offering me because of that trauma.
Mm.
So the only way we thought the best way of getting our financial funding for families is through the family liaison officers taking our hugs pack to the bereaved, along with the break pack
Break
that you
pack.
get,
Yeah.
which you don't understand. Very difficult pack. I think it's something you can read maybe 10 years, 15 years on, but it definitely wasn't something I didn't even realise it was there, to be honest.
No.
But my hugs pack is very simple. It gives what's going to happen now, because it's not a normal registering of the death. It's not a
No.
normal process. And I didn't understand all that. I wanted to, why can't I go and see Emma? Why can't I do this? Because she was in the hands of a criminal investigation
Yeah.
and I had no say.
Yeah.
Parents have no say. That's wrong.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I understand why,
Mhm.
because of the trauma. Luckily, my FLO did everything possible so I could see Emma quickly. But I don't know, if I hadn't had my FLO with me, I may not have been able to see Emma till the Monday. I don't know.
Yeah.
But when you're crying for your baby, we've got to understand that process. And
Mhm.
this is where my hugs pack allows that. It shares my beginning. This is a very different journey
Yeah.
to how you may have buried another loved one, or a crematorium. It's different. So I can give them a little bit of information that will hopefully help that ripple
Mhm.
moving forward.
Yeah, because a lot of the time you don't know what to ask, and you
No,
can't even get your words out because in your
no,
head
You're
you're still
completely
thinking, this
suspended from
isn't
yourself.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't
yes,
Yeah.
real. This isn't, this is, I'm dreaming this. And that's
yes,
what I found, like you said, Ange, is it is completely different because I've gone through my fair share of bereavement, and this has literally knocked me for six, and I have feelings that I never thought I would ever experience. And that was the
no,
thing, because even with our solicitors, Slater and Gordon, they were so good because they've handheld us all the way along. They've given us the right information. They haven't put information away. They've
no,
given us exactly what we need to know, because that's the other thing is, we don't want to be hidden from the information. As
no,
horrific as anything is, we need to know all the facts, because that's
Yeah.
what then processes in our brain that, well, this has actually happened. Because before, you're still trying to process, this is not real. And
mm,
oh,
I found it so difficult because my daughter, there was an independent police investigation because there was this idea that she was being chased, the guy who hit her was being chased by the police, which the independent police report took a while over, at least
oh,
a year. Before it found that it wasn't a chase, it was the difference between pursue, the word pursue, and the word chase. Anyway,
oh,
but because of that, the first police who came um, seemed to be wanting us to sign forms and things. It seemed to be more to me about them taking care of their
yes,
own issues
yeah,
rather than actually telling me the stuff that
you
as we
needed
as
to know.
family need to know. Yeah.
Mhm. That's what I couldn't understand. And I did a lot of searching and understanding the process, because I've just left. I was, 15 years ago, I really didn't have anybody. I felt very, very alone.
mm,
Um, Road Peace was around at that time. and I rang different people because I wanted to talk to somebody who was experiencing what I was experiencing.
Yeah.
Mm.
I couldn't find anybody. I
Yeah.
couldn't find a person that I needed to talk to. Even though I've got all my wonderful family and my very close friends around me, I felt very much in a bubble that I
Yeah.
thought I was speaking and I wasn't. And all, what was coming out of my words that I was expressing was that nobody understood me.
Yeah.
Only because I wanted to talk to somebody to see, is this pain real? Is this type of pain I'm suffering
Yeah.
real? Is my head going to explode because I don't know what's going on in my head? Does my body really feel like this?
Yeah.
And I didn't have anybody to say to me, this is a natural course of your body and your mind processing the horrendous shock your body has gone through. But I
Yeah.
didn't know that, no. And even though I went through counselling, I think it was
Yeah.
about 18 months, they had no idea.
No.
They're saying you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that. And what do you
different.
mean I need
Like
to be doing this, I need to be doing that?
bereavement
I, I,
counselling
I,
and
I was,
shock and trauma is such a different thing. And
Yeah.
a bereavement
yes,
counsellor,
Yeah.
which is what I had as well at the beginning, I just don't think it's not. It has to be trauma informed.
it has to be. It has to be.
Absolutely.
And, I'm saying to my bereaved families now, you must get some trauma counselling, because I describe it as a file in my head. It flips open. It's like this all the time. Nothing is shut down and said, right, I have dealt with that matter now and I processed it and I can forget about it, and I might get a trigger now and again to think, oh, well, that's happened. But with my trauma of losing Emma, my brain was constantly flipping open back, open
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Why? I haven't asked that question. Why? What happened when she did this? What happened? What happened when she was laid there? And
Yeah.
what happened? Please tell me.
Yeah.
And because you don't get all the information, which I totally understand now after 15 years, they can't share every single detail with you because
Yeah.
it would take us such a long time, recovery wise, to understand what has really happened with our child.
Mm.
But at the beginning, I was so alone. And I don't want no family to go through that heartache of not understanding what's really going to happen. And my hugs pack describes a bit of that.
Yeah. I
And
did
I've
read
got,
that.
Yeah,
you've
so
got, yeah,
important.
you,
So important to
yes,
have
so
people who
important.
know what it's like. What's your kind of you mentioned about trying to get the amount, increase the amount that you're able to provide and to provide for the full service and everything. Is that your kind of like what are your plans for the next sort of year or so with the charity,
Yeah,
with this?
my ambition, my aim is that we can fully fund a funeral with supporting with flowers and order of service, because that's a huge expense in itself, because I really can't remember the flowers that my family did for Emma. They were expensive,
Yeah.
which I'm so glad they did do, because I really can't remember much of my Emma's funeral and the preparation of it. But they made it so beautiful that I can remember parts, and
Yeah.
I think, yes, she would like that. But I just want to make sure that every family can have the best
Yeah.
for their son or daughter, and give them the deserved funeral that the child deserves. So if it's going to go up, if it goes, funeral plans go up every year,
Yeah.
it goes up. And I'll keep challenging ourselves to make sure we cover as much as we possibly can, because I really don't want any family not have to worry about paying for their funeral,
Yeah. It's like
because the
another
government
layer that
isn't
you're
going to do
taking
it.
away from them to just make the process
Yeah.
more manageable. So you spoke
Yes.
about that you've done three. Did you say you've been able to support three families this year?
Last year. Yes.
So tell us a bit about what kind of feedback, what is it that they give to you, because that must it must fill some hole in your, whether it be in your heart or your soul, that you've reached out to these families. So tell us a little bit about, some of the feedback they've given you.
I've recently met one of the mums from last December, and bless her heart,
Oh,
you see yourself
yeah,
at the beginning of that process.
yeah, I bet.
And I think, wow, how have I got here 15 years on?
Yes,
She's in the whirlwind of the most utter devastating time of her life. And all she can say is thank you. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say thank you.
yeah,
This is for me to you,
yeah,
to help you. She's broken. We're all broken, aren't we, at the beginning? We're
yeah,
broken
yeah,
because we're not only broken, we've lost a huge part of us as our soul. Emma was part of me. I bared her for 9 months. You
yeah,
do, don't you, your
yeah,
children? And every ounce of them are
mm,
wrapped in you. And when someone's ripped away like they are,
yeah,
it's, yeah, I just know. So 3 of the families are talking to me. They're all struggling. Are trying to give them the advice they need to. If they want
yeah,
to meet me, I'm there,
mm-hmm,
like I've just recently done. And I can share a part of that journey and make sure they get the right support.
yeah,
And we are now part of Slater and Gordon, which is we now partnered with them. So to look at the trauma from the traffic investigation, the inquest, helping them understand that process.
yes,
They need it. We all need that process and we all need that support. So if I can just help families at that
yeah,
point, and the 3 families that we helped last year are so grateful. They can't explain it.
mm. Well,
I
it's like the
just,
word thank you has a completely different meaning. It's more in depth, because when they're saying thank you, they really mean it from the bottom of their heart, and it's
Yeah.
not just
yeah,
a passing comment. It's almost like a
yeah,
desperation, isn't it? To
it
say,
is. Yeah.
somebody's
That,
taken the reins and given me a hug, like you're saying
yeah.
there.
Yeah. Like I say to them, please don't thank me. This
Mm.
is my hugs. This is for your baby. And, I'll be wrapped around you as long as you need me. And whether it's 2, 3, 5, 10 years, as long as I'm here,
Yeah,
fingers crossed, I'll be here to support the families. It's the same as my other, I've got a family member now, well, not family, a close friend who lost her son, Tom, 11
mm.
years ago. She shares the pain and she says to people, if it wasn't for Ange, I really don't know where I'd be. She said,
Oh,
because I had Ange helping
yeah,
me.
that's
Because
amazing.
Ange didn't have that helping hand or that hug,
Yeah,
the right hug from a bereaved parent, because the hugs are different from a
yeah,
bereaved parent
of
to
course.
a hug from a friend or a family member.
Mm.
The
Well,
depth of that hug
yeah.
is,
Well,
is
Ange, I just think that we're gonna be in touch with you all the time, and I don't doubt that we're gonna have you back on our podcast for our next series. Absolutely, because there's more information that we can share with
there's
families.
loads.
But we
Yes.
would just like to say thank you so much
Yeah,
for the
thank
time
you
that
so
you've given us, and we are so grateful for everything that you're doing, and we will definitely be keeping in touch with you 100%.
Oh, well,
Thank
thank
you.
you, ladies, for contacting me through Satan Gone Raymond. It's a pleasure to speak to you, and my heart and my hugs go out to you both
And to
because the
you, Ange.
journey
Thank
we're
you.
on
You too.
together is so
Yeah.
difficult.
Thanks,
Thanks.
So
Ange.
thank you both.
Take
Well, that
care.
take care.
Bye.
Bye. Thank
Bye
you.
Bye.
now.